Video says we're live. Pretty sure we're good. Come on, come all. Nothing but love. Nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't. What we is Talking One Piece. Chapter 1009. I have with me here today Daniel. Daniel, say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And this is one of those chapters that we sort of just like dropped everything that we were doing today to just try and talk about as quickly as possible, pretty much, eh? Like,
Yeah,
this
nice.
is one of those chapters where it's just like you want to lose your weekend talking about, and it's so good that it's on a long weekend day because
Yeah, it's really nice.
there's a lot of good stuff. Even
There's a
even
lot of stuff that you can talk about for a long time.
dude, even something as simple and as beautiful, right? As the
hmm
cover page for Shonen Jump with Luffy with the sakura petals falling all around him and that. And like while I was doing my live reaction, I was like, dude, it's so weird and we've come so far that I can look at Luffy, right? And be like, he's the
hmm
idiot goofball, but at the same time he's like suave stoic and like somehow become
Such a
like
boss.
he's somehow become like a sexual icon almost, where it's just like he just he's like just weirdly so confident that everything he does is now
Yeah.
just like, oh shit, man. And it's like it's taken like 20 years and it's just kind of sunk in. It's just like he's the main character for a reason, and like I'm starting to appreciate him more and more as a main
Yeah.
character, eh?
That's the thing. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people I feel like actually a big reason why Zoro gets a lot of hype and people don't talk about Luffy too much is just because like he's such a goofball, but it's like man, like he has taken on ridiculous people. Like him fighting Crocodile back in Alabasta, he was nowhere near prepared for that fight and he still won it.
Dude,
I mean, he lost it twice, but then he won it the third
that
time.
was one of my favorite fights, and that whole time it was like Luffy has just consistently been a battle genius, and you even see it this chapter where it's just like he's always on the back foot. He's always downtrodden. He's always like the underdog. But
Yeah.
whenever he's in a fight and that, as soon as he realizes he's got something like, it's like he's sitting there like a zombie, just boxing and that, getting every punch hits clean on his face and that. He's getting knocked around, but he's not getting knocked out, and he's just waiting for that one uppercut to knock someone out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's pretty funny because like yeah, he's like so confident against the opponent that he's just getting absolutely mollywopped by. And like since time skip, I feel like people have been sort of saying like, like, oh, Luffy's just not strong enough. Like um he fought against Cracker, and everyone was saying that he was getting wrecked, and that he's not strong enough to fight Cracker. And then he went to fight Katakuri, and everyone was like, "There's no way he can beat Katakuri because he's just so much weaker." And then everyone like once he wins that Katakuri fight, everyone's like, "There's no way he can fight a Yonko. We have to have another time skip, otherwise there's going to be no way he can beat a Yonko." But it's like if you look back at stuff like Alabasta and like even against like Moria, he's beating people that are like so many times more
30
powerful than him. Like
30
he's
years of experience, and he's just coming through just like, I got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like there's a reason that I often say with Luffy that if he can fight someone and actually hurt them and not get one shot, he will win the fight. Like because he's just like he's that good of a fighter that as long as you're not like so far above him that there's just no hope for him, he will eventually win. He'll just take all of your blows and strike back. And it seems like out of like brawling, yeah, out of like the idea of like brawling, he's literally just the best brawler in the One Piece world. It's just that his like Haki and that aren't at like the legendary level yet. But in terms of just actual like fighting skill in a scrap, he
it's
will
just
win.
it's just him and his granddad. Luffy and
Yeah,
Garp are like what the two best brawlers. Full stop.
yeah,
Maybe
exactly. Yeah,
maybe if you really want to make an argument for it, you could argue like maybe someone along the likes of like Rob Lucci and that who's like a strict brawler of some capacity. But even
yeah.
then, it's like nah, man. It's more technique based
That's
than
the
it
thing
is.
though. Exactly, yeah, because he uses all of those the five techniques, whereas Luffy's just kind of punching and then using his fruit to punch harder. I would say like if you reset everyone to like a base level of like strength, stamina, whatever, Luffy would just win like
Yeah,
every one on one. If you just reset it, like imagine like your like RPG stat points, you set everyone to 10 in every stat, and no special skills except for just punch, kick, then I think Luffy would just win.
Um. Also, really nice to see this color spread, having all the
Hmm.
straw hats here. I am nervous though because I was looking into it, and maybe I'm reading into it too much. But there's six little statues there, and five of them have got the scabbards hats being placed on them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so I'm like,
Where's
so,
the sixth? I can see five.
so there's five, and there's one behind Chopper. You can't really see it, but if you look behind
Oh,
Chopper's
okay.
right leg, you can
Oh
sort of
yeah,
see the
you can see
grey
the
of
leg of
one.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
see that.
but it's sort of got me like, I'm starting to feel like the foreshadowing's coming, and especially since the last chapter um, set up a fight with Inu and Jack. This chapter set up Raizo and Fukurojuko, whatever his name is. I'm having a
Mm.
spaz on that. Um, since we're getting all the scabbards being set up for stuff, I'm just like, I'm getting nervous that we're going to get a scabbard that actually does go down. And I know we had Usher Doji potentially go down last chapter, but it's like One Piece is so hard to determine if a death is going to be permanent or not because Oda doesn't like killing people, but people also obnoxiously go, people don't die in One Piece, but that's not true, especially in the new world. Like, since the time skip, we've had people die pretty much every arc, but
Yeah.
people are still in denial, going, "Oh, well, Oda doesn't kill people. The only two people that have died are, Whitebeard and Ace." And it's like, no, like he's eased up on that a lot more. But that's the problem because sometimes now he kills someone, and you're like, "Oh, they'll be back," but they're not, and that's where it hits. You
And
feel
they
like
don't.
there's
Yeah.
more story to be had with them, and he just goes, "You're not getting it,"
Yeah.
and that's what makes it
Yeah.
sort of hurt more. You know what I mean?
I think like that really is like the finality of a death. Like a lot of times you'll go through an arc and the character will kind of complete their whole story and then die, and it won't really feel like it matters that much. Whereas like, I mean, for example, like Pedro was a really emotional death, and it was like pretty well written. But like in terms of like his story, like I don't see him doing too much other than just being another fighter at the Onigashima raid. Like I don't see him having like an ultra significant role in the story. His like kind of hopes and dreams haven't really been pressed on me that hard, and so to me, it doesn't feel as final. And I feel like the big thing with like character deaths is the finality of it. Is like, oh yeah, like oh Robin's gonna find all of the read all the poneglyphs and figure out all of the history and all that stuff, and then she just dies, and it's like what? And then she just doesn't get to read anything. Like that would be a brutal death to me because it's just like you have all these aspirations for the person, and then suddenly just nothing, and it's just like it's never
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen, which is pretty brutal. Um, One thing I wanted to mention is on this cover page spread, the second one with all the Straw Hat crew.
Yep.
Something that's pretty funny is on all of their sleeves, they kind of have like a bit of like a moniker about them. So you've got three swords on Zoro, you've got I will cook on Sanji, and then if you look at Frankie's sleeve,
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I like that. What? Oh yeah. What about on Jinbei's heavy unit or whatever
yeah,
on his left pocket? Just
yeah, and
he's
it's
the
just a
heavy dude.
mountain. He's
Yeah.
basically just a big dude. Yeah, he's a big
Oh,
boy.
dude, Frankie. I'm surprised they snuck that in. That's funny. That's
I was like
golden,
couldn't read at
actually.
the screen too. I was like, it was like I scrolled down and I just my eyes immediately went to it. And I was like, is that true? Am I reading this wrong?
And it's in English. That's the funniest thing for it. He took it. He,
Yeah.
he took the time to write it in English. Um. All right. All right. So let's sort of jump into it. We start off with the castle on fire and some of the beast pirates trying to put it out, and we have the remaining six scabbards meet up with Orochi and Fukurojuko.
Yeah, that was very sudden, by the way. I was like, whoa,
It was
that was
abrupt.
quick.
It was very
Yeah.
abrupt, and it's actually really good because it comes so abrupt. There was no
Mhm.
foreshadowing for it happening this quick, and it ends just as quickly as it started, which I think makes it better.
Mm.
It's like one of those fated meetings in like an old samurai movie where it's just like all of a sudden they lock eyes, there's a quick movement, and then they just keep walking off, and one person falls down. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it is
Like,
pretty good, yeah. One thing that I wanted to mention is I only just realized this is that they're heading towards the way that Orochi came from, which is Orochi is running away from all of the fires that he's been setting. So they're basically heading straight into all of the fires. And the
Yes.
other thing is like, where are they actually going to? Have they mentioned where they're trying to
Yeah,
get to?
they're going. I think they're going to stop Kanjuro from killing Momo. I think that's what they said they were doing.
Okay, so they're gonna. Okay, right. So they're gonna go try to find Momo and
Which
protect him.
is interesting because that they did say that they were going there, but I didn't even really put it together because Sanji was tossing up between going to save Momo or going to save the Scabbards. The Scabbards are
Yeah.
saved and going to Momo. So where the hell's Sanji? Is he going to come in with them, or is he going to not go to either and have something else that he's got to deal with? Because also here,
Did
like
he choose? He didn't choose, did he? It was like meant to be us guessing.
it seemed like it got off screen, but it also seemed like someone screamed here to him at the very end, and he started like
Right.
going off with someone that we don't see. That
Right.
being
Okay. So maybe didn't pick either.
yeah, that being said, because Orochi's running away here and they're running into fire, the name of the chapter is Hell, and Hell is referenced a
Hmm.
few times through this chapter in some
Yeah.
very creative ways. But realistically, this is the Scabbards running back into Hell to save their lord. You know what I mean? And ironically
Yeah.
enough, it's what they didn't do in the Odin flashback where they couldn't go into Hell, they couldn't go into the oil. Odin just held them above it and said, "I need you to be
Yeah.
like you know, it's like the opposite. It's like holding them out of hell, right? And now they're descending into hell. So
Yeah.
there's some cool symbolism and that sort of going on here in the background and that. It's probably a lot more to it than just that, but that's just sort of the on the nose sort of stuff that you're kind of picking up on. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. Definitely.
then we have. We'll, I'll talk about Denjiro's comments and well, the Denjiro Orochi stuff in a second, but we'll just jump into it. Orochi gets his heads cut off. There's 6 Scabbards, they cut off
Hmm.
6 heads, right? And Orochi has 8 heads. So Kaido took 1 head. The Scabbards take 6 heads. So he's got 7 heads gone. Presumably he's down to his last life,
Yeah. It's
depending on
obviously
how it
meant to be
takes.
assumed that he's dead again, and then he's meant to come back, and then you're meant to be like, you're meant to have the impression that he can't be killed. But really, he's just got 1 head left,
Yeah.
is what we're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been saying it for a while, but thematically, there's only 3 people that should get the final hit in on Orochi. It's between Momo, Hiyori, and Zoro on one of their behalves, right? With the way this chapter goes, I don't think it's Zoro, because I think Zoro's going to stay pretty relevant up on the rooftop, which, by the way, just
Yeah.
just before we get to that, holy shit, Zoro, man. Oh, I I had a moment there where I was just,
Zoro had a real good showing this
oh,
chapter. That was
dude.
nice. Yeah.
I had a moment where I literally stopped and I was like, for all the love I get and all the equalness I see with Zoro versus Sanji and that, I don't see Sanji tanking that, even for
Oh no way.
even for that second. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, Orochi gets his heads cut off. The 2 takeaways I want to talk about here. One, just a little quick mention was Orochi talking about like he was baiting them in saying Konjuro was a liar and that, but he was shocked that Kirishiro was a liar. But he also
Yeah.
says like it was weird. The first time I read it, he goes like, I admit I was also shocked by you, Kirishiro. Goofufufu. I suppose you're both adept at deception. And it seemed like there might be some almost felt like there was more shadowing that we might get some other form of betrayal in some capacity. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
looking back on it now, just at the page, I don't get that sensation. But it just felt weird the first time I was reading it. That being said, this looks so cool, man. You can see all of them here taking out a head. But the most interesting thing is, right? Remember, only one of the Orochi heads has a crown. And people in the past have speculated that that crown, if you took out that skull with the crown, that head with the crown, that would kill him instantly. But we see the crowned skull under this panel of Fukurojuko when Kinemon and Denjiro are walking off, right? We don't see if it's connected to the
Right.
body or not, right? Since it's it's just you just
True,
see
but
the
it's
face.
seemingly dead on the floor.
Yeah, which would be more interesting then because it would potentially mean that, especially if he does come back, Oda was specifically baiting because that's the only head that has a different color to the other heads in the official coloring. I'll
Yeah.
I'll get it up for anyone that wants to see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll put this photo in the Discord so you'll be able to have a straight look on with it. But essentially, where did I save it to? Here we go. So see how this one head has the crown, slightly different colouring and different scales. Oop. Hang on a second, I can't hear you, Eggs. You didn't mute yourself? Yeah. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah, so see how that one head is slightly different than all the others, and it's, also the one that's got his top knot and the crown and all that?
Yeah.
So in the past, I remember when people saw that color scheme come out, they were under the assumption that maybe that's the head you got to take out to kill him. I could see Oda having set that up specifically to make people want to think he's dead now for good. Just to bring him back one more time to have Hiyori get the final blow on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Apart from that, there's not much else here. We know that the Raizo and Fukurojuko has been set up for a while now. I mean, his introduction was as a ninja and a rival to Raizo. So this would be an interesting fight, especially since we haven't actually seen Raizo fight using his ninja techniques, really. We've just seen him sort of do like little bits of hit and run and that. And like he's got that scroll jutsu and stuff like that. So he's got some pretty interesting counter techniques. It'll be actually really cool to see what Fukurojuko has here to actually sort of combat that. Because we know that Raizo's got like shadow clone jutsu. He can deflect a giant energy based attacks. He's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like
he seems very competent.
Yeah, considering how he looks, he's pretty damn like competent and impressive in the weirdest of ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a very strange way.
And now we get to the meat and potatoes, the good parts. We cut back to the rooftop, and do you know what? I almost forgot about this for a second. Then we have Big Mom and Kaido's combination attack, and
now this is awesome because like I immediately read this Kaido, let's try a combined attack, and I was like, they're just playing around.
Yeah,
like, they're literally just like, hey, let's try combining an attack, see if that happens. Like they're just toying, which is pretty funny.
They're definitely goofing here, which is good. I also really like how there's that one panel where it highlights Kid in the middle. So Kid's in the middle in between Kaido and Big Mom while they're about to do their giant combined attack, and he's got an arm sort of set up at each of them. Even though nothing comes of it, I just like that panel there. I think that's it's a cool looking visualization for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess before we talk about the attack, we should talk about this thing that's been stumping us. And I know we've had a little bit of a chat about it offline, but Trafalgar, can't you use your powers to send one of them away? I would have done it already if I could. Their Haki is too strong. I can't move them directly. The official Viz translation is going to be paramount with this one little bit of information, because this could really like rewrite Law's character and how his character works. You know what I mean?
I mean, in all honesty, I don't know if the official Viz translation is really going to change the takeaway from that, right? The takeaway from that essentially is if someone has Haki that is well above his level, he can't use his fruit on them.
Yeah, but see, it depends on if the official uses the word Haki there or not. You know what I mean?
I guess I mean, maybe they could be talking specifically about conquerors or something. Like maybe you have to have conquerors. Haki, then it's like, you can't move me. I'm a conqueror.
Haki is just about their willpower, though. Like it translates as willpower, so it might be like their willpower is too strong. I couldn't move them directly, implying like they would counterattack before he could use any abilities to move them. You know what I mean? Because I mean, like,
Even if they said their willpower, I would still think that he means
because
Haki.
see, you got to sort of think about it, where like Law was getting speed blitzed by Dofi. Dofi got speed blitzed by Gear 4. Gear 4 got speed blitzed by Kaido in base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, both of these Yonkos can outpace Law, or at least outpace Law's ability to use his fruit to the fullest extent.
Yeah, but at the
But
same time, like it's not like they're literally all over them to the extent where Law can't do anything. Like Law
yeah,
is still swapping his teammates and stuff. I assume that he would eventually be able to have some time to swap one of them away if that was possible.
it will be interesting because, and I sent you the photos of this earlier, but it goes back to the Virgo fight. When Law and Virgo was at its climax, Doflamingo said, Law, you should know you can't beat Virgo. His Haki's too strong for you. It's stronger than your cutting ability. And he was
Yeah. Okay.
specifically directing that conversation to the Devil Fruit. He was talking about the LP no Me, not like
Yeah.
just swordsmanship, right?
That was actually something that I was going to bring up. I didn't know that quote actually. That's
I'll,
good,
I'll
but
bring up this
I was
specific
basically
quote,
just going
but
to say that like Virgo is better than him with Haki, and he did cut Virgo, so that would imply that he can cut people that are a little bit above him in Haki. He
it
just can't
might not be.
cut people that are way above him in Haki.
Hang on a second.
For example, like he could move if Luffy was an enemy, he could move Luffy, but like if Shanks was an enemy, he can't move Shanks.
Oh. Again, I'll put these photos. Anyone that wants to see the images we're specifically going to be referring to or talking about here, you can look at them in the Discord. The link to the Discord is in the description down below, so you can use that to have a look at any of these photos and that we're talking about here. But, look at these two. Because this quote used to be really important, but then during the Doflamingo fight, Law wasn't able to use his abilities against Doflamingo, and in rereading that, that's because Doflamingo never let Law hit him with an attack. Doflamingo always redirected Law's attack, like he actually like controlled Law and like manipulated his attack, or he would pull himself out the way or pull Law out the way. You know what I mean? Whereas this,
Yeah. Then again, Law did eventually end up cutting Virgo, and I'd say like Virgo being full body Haki like that would imply he's got better armament than Dofi, who didn't.
or it's more like a flex, arguably, because we know
So
Picker had full body as well, but like full body's never really been super impressive. And although that being said, I mean, hey, if CP0 starts throwing around full body Haki and they're super useful with it, and it's just like a perfect defense, then that'll actually be impressive. But like, we don't see the Yonko using full body Haki. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, I mean, I think it is very wasteful. I think like Virgo's yeah, he is flexing. He's basically saying, I have enough armament Haki spare that I can full body and fight you the whole time. Whereas like Dofi is more like, I don't ever feel a need to use full body. Like it's possible that he could use it, but I just feel like Virgo being his only thing is that he's an armament Haki specialist.
It does
I
help
think
for
it's
him a
pretty
little bit.
reasonable. Well, yeah, I think that it's pretty reasonable that he has a bit better armament Haki than Dofi would have, or at least equal. And then like if Law can cut Virgo, why can't he cut Dofi? So like I feel like Law could just cut both.
But yeah, so even back then, they specifically indicate that maybe Law can't beat people of a certain level of Haki, either equal or above him, arguably, depending on how you want to view it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there is set up in the story for this to be the case where Law can't just beat people with his Haki or with his Devil Fruit that have Haki of a certain caliber, I should say. I viewed it as, if you're like, Haki is directly related to willpower. So if your willpower is really high and your Haki is really high, I feel like just distinctly you're strong to some capacity, right? So the way I always viewed it was because of that quote there. Ooh, hang on a second. Give me 2 seconds. Just having some stream difficulty. Again, cutting out. As long as it doesn't do too much, it should be alright. Fortunately, someone else is using some internet at the moment, so doing the best we can to hopefully not cause too much of a dropout. It should be alright. Yeah, it's back to being good quality. That's what you want to see. That's what you want. But yeah, so essentially, right, because Law's abilities might be able to be countered by Haki. Ooh, yeah, so going back to what I was saying, sorry, just trying to time back in on it. What I was saying was Haki normally sort of equates to strength. Like, you can be strong and have no Haki, really, but if you have good Haki, you're definitively strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always viewed it as the reason why Doflamingo and Virgo and all the Yonko are definitively stronger than Law is because they can just target him and he can't do much to defend himself outside of using his ability to defend himself or like putting in a lot of effort. So the best way to counter his abilities is to just have a good offense. You know what I mean? Put the hurt on, put the speed on, make him need to use... Because we know Law's got a big stamina drain issue, you know? If you have him constantly defending and not trying to attack because he's too busy on the defense, I feel like that's always the best way to counter him, if that makes sense. Like, we've seen the Thunder Bagua and the Izuku Sovereignty, right? If Kaido or Big Mom just point one of those at Law when Law's trying to use one of these abilities, that essentially just negates his ability to beat them then and there because he's got to dodge. He's got to stop doing the ability to save himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if he had the ability to move one of them straight up off the continent, I would think that, like, Luffy could just gear for Balloon Man or whatever in front of him while he has, like, you know, a second and a half to swap one of them off the continent. Like, Luffy could tank a really hard blow in order for him to, like, literally remove one of the Yonko from the fight. That'd be very worth it. So I feel like he'd find a way to do it if he could do it. I'm pretty sure, like, right now they're kind of implying that he would have done it if he could, but he can't. Which is like, I'm probably maybe like I didn't really hear many people in English like talking about it, but maybe like some Japanese fans were kind of criticizing, saying, why wouldn't Law just get rid of one of them and then focus one-on-one, which is a pretty fair argument. And I guess this would be Oda's way of explaining why he can't.
Well, yeah, like I said, it'll depend on the official translations and the way the wording, like if the wording changes drastically or stays consistent. If it stays consistent, it is what it is. Like, there is precedent for it in the story. It's been set up.
And I mean,
for a
it's
long
fair
time.
enough because, like, he definitely didn't have as much Haki as Virgo, and he definitely didn't have as much Haki as Dofi, but he still was able to use his power against him. Like the fact that Dofi was blocking his use of the ability implies that he could have actually used it. So, like, obviously, like, he can use his ability on people that have a little bit better Haki than him. It's just that he can't use it on people that have
extremely
like,
high,
way more. Yeah.
Then we have the highlight of Zoro for this chapter, which look, Zoro fans out there, this is your week, man. Just take it, run with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like actually.
I mean, this is one. You're gonna get a few weeks.
Oh, dude. I like the Big Mom and Kaido back-to-back panel. They look mean, and Kaido in his hybrid form there looking down looks fierce. But this attack is
I love his tail.
Yeah, his tail's great.
Yeah. I mean, when you consider how big they are as beings, and then you consider how big that attack is relative to them, that is a massive attack.
Kaido, so Big Mom's 8 meters something, right? Kaido is standing equal with her head to head while she's on top of Prometheus. So Kaido's at least 10 meters tall. Like, Kaido's at least 10 meters tall, coming up on, like, giant level in terms of height. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you consider how big Onigashima is, like if you consider the fact that we've seen long distance shots where you can't even see Big Mom and Kaido standing on top of that skull because they're so small relative to the skull, and then you consider that panel, that really small panel in the top left corner there of the explosion that happens when they
Yeah.
do the attack. That explosion is like the size of the
So,
island.
so like I've said in the past, in that there's been some rough scaling, right, based on when the Straw Hats first entered. The sword out the front of Onigashima was about 700 meters tall, meaning this island is probably about a kilometer tall and 2 kilometers wide. Okay.
And that, yeah, and that basically, if you flipped that to be like the width of the island, that is a little bit longer even
Well,
than the island. So that
so
is probably more than 2 kilometers
well,
in
that's
height.
that top left panel isn't even the attack. That's Zoro's block of the attack immediately. So that's the impact of Zoro just blocking it for a second, spitting up blood. Law, and you can see it. Law in the middle here. Law actually is the person to move everyone out the way.
Yeah,
He rooms, but
yeah,
then
he
if you look at
does.
this next
Yeah,
panel, that's the best panel there because that means the aftermath,
true.
the actual projectile is a kilometer in radius or kilometer in diameter and went at
Maybe
least 2 kilometers
2.
in distance, right?
Honestly, I think it's like 2 and then like 4 or 6 kilometers in
Well,
distance.
if you took the island's height, right, as 1 kilometer,
Yeah.
if you took that height and like just sort of moved your hands up in that, that's about roughly how
But
wide
see that
this
that
is.
look that explosion looks like it's the width of the island is what I'm saying, which is 2 kilometers, right? Like
Maybe.
if you look at that, if you look at that top left panel
I'd
of
say, I'd
Zoro blocking it, you could see the explosion radius is like around about the same width as the island is, and then if you scroll down, that's the explosion radius, and then it extends out further after that.
either way, this is arguably the
That
strongest
is,
swordsman technique shown in the series, even though it's a combo attack.
that attack is essentially like wiping out an entire
This is
mountain range
Pluton.
into dust.
This is essentially a Pluton
Yeah,
attack. You know what I mean? Two Yonko doing a side by side
yeah.
attack is Pluton, arguably.
Like we're getting into Dragon Ball levels now.
Like, yeah, like I mean, look, you got the Wasteland. Look at everything else that was on the back half of that skull after it. It's just wasted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, imagine being inside. Like, next week, when we cut back to inside, everyone's going to, like, literally wet themselves in that. Because you're just going to see everyone, like, looking up in that, and the whole island's just shaking. Um, yeah, so, essentially, right, this attack was insane. Like I said, I was going to do a top 10 strongest swordsman techniques shown in One Piece before this week. And then I saw this and I was like, I'll wait until the chapter comes out and then maybe do the list. But like this might arguably like this or the glacier cut that Mihawk does in Marineford. What do you reckon's a better sword attack? Mihawk in Marineford or these attacks here?
I'd say this.
This? Yeah.
I think these attacks
Yeah.
are bigger.
Do you reckon Mihawk's
Yeah.
competing with these attacks
I
though
mean,
in swordsmanship? Because
so
like,
it's possible. Like so. Mihawk wasn't a big range. It was a up and down slash. It was a vertical. Oh, I guess I'm talking about his quote unquote world's greatest slash.
yeah,
It was a vertical slash, and like I could argue probably that it would have like traveled all the way through Marineford and then off into the ocean like a couple of kilometers. You know what I mean?
so it would
like
have bigger
if it didn't get
range,
stopped
but it
by,
might not be as
yeah. So
wide as damaging as this. Because
eh,
this,
well, it might also be more damaging focused. It's just not. It's intentionally not a super wide range attack.
mm,
Like he's not trying to annihilate everything. He's trying to cut specifically Whitebeard. So why make the cut any bigger? You know.
yeah. Man, that like I keep looking back at that panel, man. It looks so good. I can't stop grinning. I got the
Yeah.
biggest shit eating
I just
grin.
want to like if you think about that panel, imagine Luffy standing on the tip of that horn in front of the explosion. He would be so like in relative scale, he'd be so small that you'd barely be able to see him. He'd be
This
like a little dot.
this is
And then
like the
look at the
equivalent.
size of the explosion behind him.
This is the equivalent of a mushroom nuke. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like genuinely it
just
is.
this is the stem of a mushroom nuke. You know what I mean?
They're like almost literally attacked with a nuclear bomb worth of energy.
Mm. It's tailed beast bombs for sure. They're dropping bombs, which,
I think it's well bigger than a tail base bomb.
yeah. Oof. Oh, might.
A
Some
tail
tailed
base
beast
bomb
bombs are big.
is like a it's like a mountain, right?
No, some were bigger. Some were bigger.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look. Maybe that's a good thing to do for a stream one time. Compare the strongest attack, like the strongest radius and damages from series. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun.
Big Mum and Kaido essentially just confirmed. Not that we shouldn't know already, but I think it's first time for some form of confirmation for Kaido here of observation haki.
Ooh, I can still sense their voices. I missed that when I read it.
Yeah. So is this the first time we've had confirmation that Kaido has observation?
Hmm.
We know, even this chapter, we see him use a little bit of armament, but I think that's the first time we've seen any inkling to observation. We still don't have conquerors depicted from Kaido yet, but we can probably assume. You know what I mean?
Their
Oh,
voices, hey?
yeah. So that's the same thing that Ulti was sort of using before when she attacked her and Page One attacked Luffy. It's like I can still hear their voices. I think their voices is
Yeah,
it's like more
like their presence.
yeah, it's like I can hear their soul. It's screaming with like,
Yeah.
pride. Zora's pretty much out though. I mean,
Question: Would this is just completely off the topic though, but would having the quote unquote voice of all things imply that you can sense the existence of everyone around the world, or would it just imply that you can sense the voice of any like individual being, like any kind of ancient creature or whatever?
I think at its highest form, it would be you can sense anything living and non-living. Like you can sense anything living and you can understand the use of anything non-living within a set radius.
Okay, so it wouldn't be literally worldly.
Although,
It wouldn't be like omniscient.
I don't
'Cause
know
if
because we've got
all, quote
Fujitora.
unquote, all things, yeah, like if all things had a voice and you could sense all things, if you had
Okay,
the voice of all things, wouldn't that imply that you literally have omniscience?
but that yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that like saying you'd need to be like omnipotent when it comes to observation haki? Like, is that the ultimate form of observation
Well,
haki for Two Piece?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you would be omniscient, which is like all seeing, right?
Mm.
So like omnipotent is all
Is all
powerful, and
powerful,
then
yeah,
omniscient is
yeah,
all
yeah.
seeing. Yeah.
Zoro's on the ground spitting up blood. He's pretty much out. He does two little things left in the chapter, but like he's like laying down, just like I just blocked that for you guys. Please do something. Like Zoro's been putting in the work. Law, Kid, and Killer have been like doing little attacks, but they've been like for the most part not really shown doing anything yet. Really, Zoro's just on the
Yeah.
ground, just like Luffy's done so much. I'm out of it. Did you just see that? I just caught a kilometer wide, 2 kilometer long attack. Like I know I didn't like hold on to it, but like, dude, I didn't see you guys do it. I saw you guys all run the other way. I like tanked that for a second. He's just like,
They're like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Barely." And then later on, someone says like, "Are you ready, Zoro?" And he's like, "I'm gonna have to be."
yeah, well, rise to
He's
the
just
occasion.
complaining about how sore he is.
I
Yeah.
like here though that Kid goes not bad. Your block bought us some time. It's like even, like Zoro's getting some of that recognition from the other captains and that, so it's
Yeah.
it's good to see.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
this brings us to this may be my favorite part of the chapter.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to point out, right, that Big Mom and Kaido were both using observation haki. They knew that they were still alive, but they didn't know exactly where they were. Even Killer and the rest of them didn't notice that Luffy wasn't with them. Luffy basically just went like, "I'm gonna handle this myself." Didn't even bother going with the rest of the people, and just left on his own accord.
Yeah,
Dodged the attack seemingly, and then closed the distance. Where
putting the pressure on.
yeah,
He's
Very
putting the
impressive.
pressure.
This is basically showing that he's like an entire tier above everyone else that's on the rooftop. Like everyone on the rooftop is like, "Oh no, we're gonna get wiped out by this attack." He's like, "I'm just gonna casually dodge this attack and then go in for my own attack."
Well, this is where we get a few things. One, I said it last chapter, but even more so now. Kaido's horns make him look like he's got a crown, and he's got 6
Yeah,
horns. I love how it literally drapes around him. Like,
yeah.
it's also on the back of that. I'm waiting for him to headbutt someone. I'm waiting for like someone to come in with a sneak attack, and he speed blitzes and headbutts them and stabs them with one of the horns. I also like
Yeah.
that in this form, they're no longer white. They've got red tips, like Black Maria and like his daughter. I'm forgetting her name, or his son Odin. Got to be careful with
Yeah,
that.
I also love that he's basically got like a king's cloak with his. Is that what, like his feathers or something?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is that on his back?
yeah. That's
It
his
seems to
feathered
be made of
cloak.
his fruit. Yeah, and then he's got like I love the tattoos over his like shoulders and arms. It makes him look like a Maori soldier. He just looks like such a
Mm,
beast.
he looks good, but dude, Red Hawk. Oh, so Gomu Gomu no Red, and then Luffy starts laughing after Kaido dodges. And he's like, "Why are you dodging, dude?
Yeah.
Is it because it would hurt? Yeah, you gonna feel this one in the morning?"
It's
And
good
like,
because this implies that like he started dodging now because he's getting hurt enough that he's now suddenly realizing like, okay, I've actually got to start dodging attacks because I could be beaten here. He's actually starting to take this seriously. Whereas
mm,
before he was just like, I want to see you hit me as much as I can because it's rare
which
that someone can even hurt me.
I love that him becoming serious comes with the hybrid form. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where it's like
yeah,
he'll just lounge around in dragon form, and if you hit him, he'll go into human form. And if you can do something that causes pain, he'll go into hybrid form. And then when he's in hybrid form, he's just like, "Oh no 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 no! Me being the bullet sponge is over. Okay, that was the last 2 forms. All right.
hmm
Now I'm here. I'm fighting. I'm ready to fight. I got the belt. I got the title belt. All right. We're going for this championship. You know what I mean?
yeah,
How did Shanks stop this dude coming to Marineford and not have a scratch in a
yeah.
day?
That's pretty crazy.
Like, I need this information, man. Because,
It
like,
has to have been a conversation, man. Like if they actually fought, like you would feel it from Marineford. Like you'd
well,
feel the vibration.
I got to look that up because I'm pretty sure the Marines specifically say they witnessed the altercation begin between them.
Yeah, but it could just be them like sailing their ships close to each other, you
Mm,
know. One thing that I'd like to ask is, like you were mentioning how his horns are essentially forming a crown on his head.
yeah.
Do you think that Luffy at some point in this fight is going to quote unquote break the crown?
He's gonna break one of the
Do you think
horns. He's gonna punch him
you
in the
think
head and
one of
break a
his horns
horn.
is going to get broken?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. As
Yeah,
soon as you said
and
that,
that'll
I'm
be
like,
him
yep, that's
breaking the
it.
crown of the last pirate king,
Yeah.
of the current
Well,
closest to be pirate king.
he's the would be pirate king because you had Whitebeard, the guy who waited. You had Kaido, the guy who just assumed it would be him, and then you got the real
Yeah.
pirate king coming through. And like, dude, Kaido looks so good here. For everyone that was ragging on Kaido, I need to like. I already broke this down in my live reaction, but I'll break this down again. Daniel, there
hmm
are 4 categories of zones realistically that we've seen in the stories: herbivorous,
Yeah.
carnivorous, ancient, mythical. Right?
Yes.
For the absolute longer, like, you could toss up between Marco and Kaido for the best zone, like, arguably, you know what I mean? They're both great
Yeah.
zones, but, like, Kaido's hybrid form is the perfect hybrid form, right? Anyone that has a problem with it, you're wrong, because from his waist down, he's got the benefit of the hybrid form from the carnivorous zones, like Lucci and
Mm.
Jabra, that gives him the speed boost. You know, that sort of, like,
Yep.
werewolf sort of leg that gives him
Yep.
he's got the speed boost from that, right? He's got the
hmm
tail, which is the whole benefit of being one of the snake zones, like the Boa sisters. And remember,
Yeah.
Rob Lucci and the Boa sisters would capture people and wrap them up in the tail and then attack them. Kaido can still do
Yeah.
that while standing, arguably. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So like,
And you could also argue that the tip of his tail is probably quite sharp,
well,
just because dragons
if
tend to
you
have
if
that
you
that
actually
aspect.
if you look up where him and Big Mum do their big attack, it actually looks like he's got a
Yeah.
scorpion tail on the tip of his tail.
Yeah, see, like that's the thing.
Like
Like
he
a
looks
lot
like he's
of
got
like
a knife there.
Western dragons, which he seems to, or I don't know, I don't know if he seems to be. He seems to be kind of like a mix, hey.
He's an
But like,
Eastern dragon for sure, but Oda's like, it's a
yeah,
dragon, dude. We're throwing all mythology in on this dude. You know what I mean?
yeah, true,
But like,
yeah,
if you look at
but yeah,
that panel there, you can see he's got a knife, like a little
yeah, he
axe
has
on
like
the
a
bottom.
curved blade at the end.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
would be so beautiful if this fight here encapsulates every fight Luffy's had in the series. Just like spitballing for a moment, right? This is the conclusion of the new world. This is the pinnacle of just one on this is the best pirate fight in the series. It's going to be the best pirate fight, right? Remember when
yeah,
Crocodile impaled Luffy and held Luffy up? Like, do you remember
yeah, yeah,
the imagery of that? How beautiful it was. And then we go to Skypiea and you had NL dropping bolts of lightning and it had no effect on Luffy. You know what I mean? Then you go
yeah,
to Water 7 and Luffy's fighting Rob Lucci, the strongest zone sort of pre-time skip, right? Then you go to Thriller
yeah.
Bark and you have Moria, who's just big. His whole thing was big, strength, and attack, and he's like a zombie. He just kept getting back up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Kaido is like this fight is being the accumulation of all these fights put into one person. Like
Yeah.
aspects from all these people are being put into one. I would not be surprised if, and like I was saying, because of the hybrid form, he's got Rob Lucci's legs, he's got the Boa Sisters' tails and that. Like Peckham's, you know how Peckham's has got the turtle shell? He's actually a turtle zone. He's got the scales
Yeah.
and that, so he's got natural defense. He's got two forms of speed increases, right? He's already a giant in height.
Mhm.
In this form, he's even bigger. He's observation and armament haki, right? He's with that club and what we've seen. He's a top tier weapon user to some extent, right?
Hmm.
He's literally being lined up to be the like I'm getting closer to believing he's the strongest in a one-on-one fight just based on every stat boost he gets given at the moment. You know what I mean? Like out of technicalities, he's just getting everything added to him, just like this aspect of this person that was good and made them strong, give that to him, give that to him,
Yeah.
give that to him, give that to him, give that to him, and we're still not done yet. Like
Hmm.
after this, when he, like I've been saying for weeks, when he just is able to drop his jaw and shoot out a borrow breath without a charger, just in the middle of a
Hmm.
combination attack,
It's ridiculous.
that is insane. You know what I mean?
It's like I was saying with our talk about last chapter. Like he has claws on his feet. He's got a tail. He's got sharp claws on each hand. He's got horns on his head. He's got sharp teeth, and he's got borrow breath. He's got those spiked things around his wrist, and he's got the club in his hand. He has so many like weapons that he can use that like you trying to fight him, there will be like 7 attacks coming from all different directions as you're trying to do one punch. Like it'd be so hard to handle his onslaught. Plus, he's got the speed and the power from being the zone, like you were talking
Oh
about.
yeah, it is like for anyone disregarding hybrid Kaido, you're wrong. You're easily wrong. Like it's impressive, and like again, even though he dodges here, this unleashes the best looking combo arguably in this chapter, right? Where Kaido comes down, Luffy blocks, Kaido smacks him through a wall, Kaido comes into the
Yep.
club again, Luffy gets up, you see Luffy about to block, Kaido, like in a split second, while Kaido's coming in with the club to attack with the club, just drops his
Hmm.
mouth, does a borrow breath at him, Luffy realizes, dives out the way, Kaido, not using his leg, uses his tail to spring himself up like Bellamy, to then
Yeah.
twirl his club around, infusing it with Rio or Haki, to then
Hmm.
drop a sharp blunt force attack right onto Luffy's head.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you've killed me. You've
Seemingly
killed
like
me.
lightning and fluke infused. There seems to be like black
Well,
lightning trailing
that
his
black lightning, I think,
attack.
is the Haki. Like, you know when Roger and Whitebeard
Yeah,
fought, how
yeah.
they had the dripping Haki. I think it's literally he was just putting heaps of Haki into it, and he's just smacked Luffy on the dome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't
Like
even see Luffy after that.
I just want to go through this as well. Like, he sees, as you can see, after he flips over Kaido's head, he has that mark above his head that we were talking about in a previous chapter of him basically using future sight and seeing that he's going to get attacked, and then
Mm-hmm.
he realizes that he can't get away, so he decides to block his face. So he tries as hard as he can to block his face, and it sends him into the wall. You see more exclamation points, which is probably Luffy thinking, "This hit me way harder than I thought it would." Then you've got him looking at his hands and being like, "Ah,"
Like
because he
when he
wasn't
did,
expecting
like when he did when Katakuri hit him with haki that
Katakuri
was
punch.
stronger. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
burn of like this stings.
Yeah. So basically, what is happening right here is like Luffy can see the future, and he's still getting outplayed by Kaido because Kaido is stronger than he thinks he is, like stronger than Luffy thinks he is, and faster than Luffy thinks he is. So he looks at his hand, he's like, ah, like because he's been hit. Then he sees Kaido coming at him, more exclamation points because he obviously for that second he wasn't using future sight because he was worried about his hands. Sees Kaido coming at him, probably looks into the future and sees that he's going to hit him with his club. Then suddenly Kaido, smart enough, knowing that he can see the future, changes his attack pattern, shoots his laser, and then he goes, whoa, and jumps out of the way because he only sees it at the last second because he didn't predict it with his future sight. So he almost got hit by that because of Kaido's like smart fighting. And then he hits to the ground, and then he jumps up into the air and goes for another attack, and then Luffy does exclamation points again because he like didn't see that coming as well. So Luffy is just constantly being caught off guard time after time after time, and he's barely keeping up. And then he
Mm-hmm.
cops the hit. And it's like the way the moves that Kaido does here in this like short exchange is literally just constantly subverting Luffy's expectations over and
It's
over
a
again.
flurry. It's a
Yeah, it's
raw flurry,
ridiculous. It's like
and
really, really like well fought. Like not just in terms of like I'm really strong and so I beat everyone, but he's actually showing that he's like really smart when it comes to a fight as well.
he. And again, I still feel like we're not even getting started into like what the proper fight is here. I feel like we're still setting up the proper fight until Act 3 ends. I still think we're doing the setup. So like this stuff here is just like a little taste to be like, don't, just because you can hurt him, just because he's dodging,
Yeah,
doesn't mean you've won. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Something that I really, really want is I want to see this animated, but I do not want to see this slowed. You know how the anime likes to kind of
nah.
fill for time? I want this to actually be a flurry, like you said. I want it to be bang, 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 and it'll look so cool.
That's one of the benefits of manga to me sometimes. Sometimes you look at a panel and 8 panels will be 1 second. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'll be like
exactly.
that's just like an insane, speedy, just ruthless decimation. And like
Yeah.
even the name Three Realms Ragnarok. Again, going back to
Hmm.
it's a Buddhist reference, like I said at the end of the chapter. Also, like linking to hell. You literally have essentially the king of hell, right? Hitting Luffy, who's regarded as like one of the devils because he's a Willa D member. You have the
Hmm.
king of hell attacking a devil and just
Yeah.
pumping him in the head. Like this is ruthless, man. And I like Kaido,
Yeah.
man. I cannot for the life of me. I feel like a little giddy kid. I'm just like, dude, I've been waiting for this for so long. Kaido, you are tremendous. All right, I applaud you. I need this in a game. I need to play hybrid Kaido. Just like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just
I got a question.
go
Have
for it.
we seen Kaido's surname?
No, no.
What if it comes out that Kaido's a D? How hype would that be?
Oh, oh, don't even. Turns out it's Kaido D
Then
Zebek.
that would make this fight like actually like Luffy taking down what should be the Pirate King, and then being qualified as the next Pirate King. Like a D fighting a D, because there's always that theory of like only the members of the D family or tree or whatever the name, um, can become the Pirate King. Like they're the ones that are supposed to bring down the gods or the
Mm-hmm.
heavens or whatever. And so like there's always been that thing of like no one's going to become a Pirate King unless they have that D as a part of their name. And if Kaido gets a D in his name, that like legitimizes the fact that he actually genuinely could have been the Pirate King if it wasn't for Luffy.
Yeah.
Which is like Luffy is literally just pulling down
Oh,
the top contender of a
dude.
Pirate King and stepping over him,
I
which
mean,
is so hype.
now that we see a little bit more of Kaido, we need to start asking the questions again. We need to start evaluating who's the strongest Yonko. What's the order of hierarchy for the Yonkos? I know, man. Like, we need to get some power scaling discussions. Waste a 16-hour stream just talking about like all their move sets. Oh, I'm dying. I'm
I
dying.
will say, I know that like Big Mom kind of isn't. It seems like Big Mom's been taken out of the equation because she's kind of going to be like a later fight. Um, but like I need to see more from Big Mom now because Kaido's having such a good showing, and to me, Big Mom now is just a girl with a strong sword who has like these little flying things around
I
her.
don't
That's
know.
all she has right now.
Go back 2 chapters. Chapter
Mhm.
207. Is this the one? Maybe, maybe not. I'm looking for when she was on the roof just fighting all the Straw Hats and that, and just like she was actually just
Yeah, but here's my thing, okay? So like she's shooting lightning at people, right? Which is very,
yeah.
very quick and pretty hard to deal with. But think about this. Imagine her Prometheus and Zeus don't have their own perception hierarchy, or if they do, it's not like incredibly advanced. Anyone who's at a Yonko level has enough perception haki, unless they're just getting carried by their fruit. Like, for example, like Shanks and Luffy kind of people have like future sight type stuff. They are never going to get hit. Like if it was like Yonko level Luffy versus Big Mom, he's never going to get hit by that lightning. It's just
Mm.
not going to happen. Like Zeus will try to attack him and he'll just like move his head to the side and dodge
The
it the same way that he did against the pacifistas. So like Big Mom's kind of limited with Zeus and Prometheus in that they as individual entities, I'm just gonna guess, and I could be proven wrong in the future, but don't have like haki, or at least don't have significant haki of their own. And so like you can easily just like dodge and outrun them like they're nothing. It'll be like Enaru dodging Luffy's punches when they first fought. Like he's just literally just like lazily moving their head to the side and dodging.
I'm trying to go through back through the chapters to find like when Big Mom was feeding, and like, dude, the last 10 chapters have been so good. When I get this volume in hard copy, I think I'll cry.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
starts off with chapter 1,000, Luffy red rocking Kaido, and
Mm,
then just all these fights, all the fights with the Yonko up until now. Like,
yeah.
but look, Big Mum is definitely a she's definitely on the how would I say? Big Mum was the character with the most potential that just didn't keep the potential. Like,
Yeah.
Kaido's defense comes from his fruit, not from him.
Yeah.
Whereas Big Mum, she's got like a near identical defense,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just naturally formed. You know what I mean? So it's like
Well,
if
that's
Big
the thing as well.
Mum,
Is like her big attack, like her like big giant swordsmanship skills, seemingly is mostly her own power, not her fruit.
yeah,
Like she is like really strong as an individual person, but yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Is like her fruit is kind of starting to seem a little bit lax. If you consider that she's going up against an opponent who is able to just like easily dodge the fire and the lightning because the fire and the lightning can't keep up with them. Um, then it's basically just Big Mum with a sword who's like she's really strong, but like you know what I mean? I don't know.
mm.
I can definitely see Kaido wrecking Big Mom right now. Like Kaido right now is like well above Big Mom in
Oh,
my head, and I don't think in the worldview of One Piece, I don't think that he's that far above her. But I just think like right now, from like the hype that's been built up in these chapters, my own little head canon is that Kaido is like a lot stronger than Big Mom, even if I don't necessarily think it's the actual truth in the worldview.
I don't. I would have
Because like
said
her
no, but like
power,
I'm looking through it. I'm looking through it, and I'm
I know
agreeing. Like,
her terror has been shooting lightning at like from long range against people that just don't really have the faculties to deal with it. But if all of those people are Shanks, she's literally doing nothing there. Like she's just firing lightning and they're just missing all over and over again. And then she has no presence on the battlefield at that
dude,
point.
how did we even get to this point? Chapter 1,002. Oh, sorry, 1,003. 1,002 and 1,003 is when Big Mom and Kaido were doing like all their cool stuff. Dude, that was nearly 10 chapters ago now. That
Yeah.
Kaido's hybrid form was the end silhouette.
Yeah.
Man, Oda's on it, man. Oda's making time flow differently with these chapters. I'm scared, dude. It's good. It's exciting. Like, and the fact that even in the cover page, you saw the one for the magazine. Did you read what was in the green on the front of it?
The cover page.
The winds of
Let me
adventure
scroll.
propel him forward. Act 3 of
Oh,
Wano
I
is
did see
going
that.
strong. The war approaches its climax. So,
Mm.
again, if it's like a 5 act play and the climax is Act 4, Act 3 is going strong, but it's getting close to ending. You know what I mean? Which it has
Yeah.
been pretty good, but like, man, I just, I'm too giddy. Kaido's just looking too fierce, man. It's good. And then this combination at the end where Kid makes a box, Law rooms Zeus into the box, Killer and Zoro charge, which I'd like to point out, Zoro cuts Prometheus just clean through, right? But if you look at the
Yeah.
panel, Killer cut across Big Mum's left side, all the way through, took out
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was looking at it and I was like, did he cut just the sword or her? Because then she fell to the ground, seemingly in pain. I was like, did
yeah.
Killer just cut Big Mom? That's
Well,
crazy.
I think Zoro took out what she was standing on, but I think Killer did with his right hand. You can see his
Right.
blade. He hooked Napoleon in the mouth, and with his left hand, he cut up Big Mum's side. It didn't necessarily
Oh
penetrate
yeah,
her,
true. Yeah.
but that's what's happened. He's hooked Napoleon
Yeah.
and then
He's
cut
used
Big
both of
Mum.
his blades. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which looks sick, man. If this was anyone other than Big
Maybe
Mum,
even just her arm to make sure that she lets go
yeah. Well,
of the sword.
I'd
Yeah.
argue, if anything, because she was holding it up, he's probably cut under her arm, like around her lat, and then
Yeah.
hooked the sword with the other hand. And then she's
Yeah.
fallen on that side as she's come down.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Killer's just chasing Napoleon. Like, Napoleon's hopping off like a one-legged racer, while Killer's just charging him down, just like, yeah, son, come on. All of the homies are like, help us. And Daniel, my dude, I'm gonna say some stuff that's gonna like you're gonna be like, yeah, and then you're gonna like, wait. Yeah, okay. Punk Pistol. By the way, I love how kids actually using these harpoons. I was talking in the last chapter how
Yeah.
how I was so excited because it looks so cool. I know they bounce off Big Mum, but like if he was using that against say Queen or King, that would actually be pretty sick. If
Yeah.
he like just
Well,
impaled them.
so
And then
that's
good
what I was saying. Like
controls
last
it.
chapter, we were talking about how cool they are, and we're saying that like it'd be cool if they could penetrate, because their spears they're meant for like penetration. It'd be cool if they could stab through like Kaido's scales or Big Mom's skin, and then we see them happen and they just
Yeah.
dink off.
Well,
It's pretty disappointing.
if it was
But
someone
it's still
else though,
cool. But
if it was someone else though, and Kid managed to
yeah, it'd be
pierce them,
really good.
could he not just control them, instantly kill them?
Yeah, true. And he could actually just like rip the wounds apart and stuff as
Yeah.
well.
Or he could just use the metal and like push it into the water.
Yeah.
So it's good it didn't work, but man, you see Big Mum come in with a right hook, punch Kid in the face, right?
Yeah.
And she pile drives Kid down, but Kid's sort of clean after, right?
Yeah.
So can I just point out, like,
I mean, he's got a bloody face, but he's not knocked out.
he's not knocked out, but that's it. Like, he's a bloody face. He's good. He's really clean, right?
Yeah.
So I'd just like to point out that same sort of move. Have a look at the Discord, right? Here we go. That same move had this dude spitting blood in his highest defense form.
Oh, that is a very small picture.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I don't know how to zoom in either.
Yes, that is very small. It's Big Mum punching Big Father.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I see it now.
So Capone got punched by Big Mum, right? And do you remember he was like spasming out inside himself in his like little form, bleeding like profusely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Kid takes that same punch to the face, and he's a little bloody, but it does nothing. So Kid,
Hmm.
like Luffy, Kid and Luffy in their normal bodies have the same, if not greater, defense than Big Father. So they are literally
Yeah.
walking devil fruits, essentially, in terms of their durability.
I mean, possibly, but at the same time, back in Whole Cake, I would see them getting smashed by that punch as well. I think it's just that they've grown.
And then, right, this combination. I love this. So Big Mum punches Kid. Kid grabs Big Mum with his left hand, and
Yeah.
then with his right hand just goes repel. Shoots her up into the air, which I've been saying for the longest. We needed to see more metal manipulation here. This was juicy.
Yeah.
Throws Big Mom up in the air. Law comes in and goes, tacked. Smacks her, and she's like, you idiots. What the hell was the point of hitting me with a boulder? And then she realizes she's off Onigashima and has no homies to come save her. She's 100% going to fall onto the Big Mum Pirate's ship, isn't she? She's going to fall down with Smoothie and whatnot. She's not.
Yeah,
She's
it
not done
definitely
here.
seems that way.
Um,
But
the
then my question for you is, when she inevitably does fall down there, is she gonna move? Is she gonna move back up Onigashima and start slaughtering people on the way back to the rooftop, or is she gonna leave?
she'll come back, but
Do you think they're gonna beat Kaido right now while she's down, and then she's gonna go, oh well, we've lost,
well,
and then leave, and then maybe chase down Luffy later or something?
so this raises a few questions, right? Number one
Mm-hmm.
is curses. There's nothing but ocean below. Help Zeus, right? Is that true?
Yeah.
Because last chapter or two, we saw Mount Fuji really close, which is in the center of Wano, and it almost implied we're on top of the capital.
True.
So is she really going to fall down to water, or is that going to be like a Hail Mary and she's actually just going to land on the ground?
Yeah.
Number two, if she does fall, is she just going to fall onto the Big Mum Pirates ships and then she'll bring reinforcements when we least want it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Which would be very impressive. Now it's essentially going to be I would say a 5-on-1 against Kaido, but I think this chapter actually facilitated a good way to have Luffy knocked out for a moment and have Zoro too injured to fight for a moment. So you'd have Kid, Killer, and Law versus Kaido for the next chapter or two. Because Luffy getting hit on the head with Ragnarok, he might just be like, I need 10 minutes, dudes. Like, I'm out of gear 4. I just got hit right on top of the head. Just give me 5. Zoro's been pretty much like already like, do I have to keep going? Can someone else do something useful for a moment? I'm like a little out in the limit here. You know what I mean? But if they successfully divide Big Mum, they can try to do the divide and conquer tactic on Kaido, so they can start resting while the others are attacking, right? And arguably Kid and Killer, although they've had some cool stuff happen, they haven't done anything super significant yet to Kaido. So, what the hell do you think's gonna happen? Do you reckon they're gonna do that sort of rest and attack, or do you think all 5 are just gonna start trying to dog team Kaido, and we're gonna see Kaido 1v5?
I think Luffy's going to be stomped right now because he's just been taken a really big blow. I think he's going to be stomped right now, and he's going to be like laying in the ground for a while, and then the rest are going to be. I think Zoro's going to be fighting, but not at his full capacity because he's like really hurt, and so I think it's mostly going to be 3 versus 1 with like Zoro there as well a little bit, but like not at his full capacity. And then I think in maybe the chapter after or the 1 or 2 chapters, he's going to like Zoro's going to decide to start fighting again with his haki, and Luffy's going to get back up and he's going to go back into Gear 4 because we haven't seen him in Gear 4 for a little while now, and he's actually been fighting against Kaido, obviously not evenly, but he's been fighting against Kaido in maybe Gear 2, maybe even just base form with haki.
Well, here's my question for you. Are we going to go through the spectrum? Are we going to see Tank Man, Snake Man, or is he just going to go straight back into Bounce Man? Are we going to see a new gear that we haven't seen yet?
Mm.
Like, I obviously I think it'll be pending on the when Act 3 sorta ends, but like at this point in time,
Originally, yeah. Originally, I thought he needed. Originally, I thought he needed to have a new gear or awakening or something like that for this fight. But now, seeing how good Luffy's showing is against Kaido, I just think like he's gotten stronger now, kind of similar to how he did against Katakuri,
hmm,
and he's just got to go into Gear 4 and just start wailing. I think Snake Man's enough. Um, I think he's probably gonna have a bit of a showing on the different ones. Like maybe he's gonna show that he can change a lot more easily. So maybe like Kaido will go to hit him and he'll change into Tank Man, take the blow, go back into Bound Man, punch him a bit, and then Kaido will start speed blitzing. He'll go into Snake Man to counter that, and you know he's gonna show more variety. I don't know if he needs a new gear. I think he's strong enough now to fight him. He just needs more like just to be able to fight better against him with more utility.
I mean, look, utility. I'm all for, but right now Kaido's the one rocking the utility, man.
Well, that's what
He's
I mean. That's why I think like so like if Luffy can constantly change in and out of them, and he can change to Tank Man every time he's going to get hit by the club, and then he can change to to Snake Man to match speed anytime he needs to do that. He can change to Bound Man to like counter big punches and stuff. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
he can use his all of his different gears in order to sort of get around all of the things, and then obviously he's got help as well.
uh, do
But yeah, like I see this ending similar to Doflamingo and Luffy's fight, where it's like Luffy's basically shown now that he's like around Dofi's level. He could beat Dofi, but he did definitely get helped by Law. I think it's going to be similar. It's like Luffy is basically shown now that like he can kind of go toe to toe with Kaido at the end of this, but he did need the other people to help him, and he
he,
definitely wouldn't have won without the other people.
he needs to
I
be
think that's
pushed
how it's
over
going
the
to kind of
edge.
end up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's
can we
definitely going to be the star after this.
can
He's going to
we
be like the reason they won,
can we
definitely.
take a moment to really just appreciate, just really take a moment and appreciate what we've managed to actually get given and be able to see from the Yonko this like last 10 chapters, like how versatile and how cool their attacks have been and how unique they've been.
Hmm.
Like they have really been getting gassed
Yeah,
up, and it is good to see, especially when you say Blackbeard and Shanks are on the same tier as this. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they're
definitely.
doing stuff to equal this, and like it just gives me more like it makes me feel a little more justified that if Big Mum was always looking up to Whitebeard as Whitebeard's definitively the. Like, remember when Big Mum said if she had the Giants, should even have beaten Whitebeard, like putting him on a bit of a pedestal compared to the other Yonko.
Yeah.
This feels justified to me that the mastered form of the Guru Guru no Mi, like you got to think about it, right? You know how we saw it tilting oceans?
Yeah.
It's like you can tilt the oceans, you can put out massive shockwaves in the air. If Big Mum or Kaido's coming at you from a distance, you can keep them at a distance. If you get close range, you're putting out maximum depth, like damage output. Even just putting a quake out, that's just like sort of almost like a shield, right? As long as you
Yeah.
can keep up and punch in the same rough direction as these people, they just can't make any moves on you. You know what I mean? So it's like
Hmm.
it's really impressive because it's been shining some new light on me, like because especially with Kaido and how good Kaido's showcasing is here, right? It just makes me feel like Whitebeard's whole thing was he was also sort of like a Roger where he's just untouchable because he just had like perfect offense is a good perfect defense is a good offense. You know what I mean? And just putting in
Yeah.
that sort of work, especially when he was younger. But I mean, now that Blackbeard's got that fruit and Blackbeard's got the darkness fruit, if Blackbeard were to get a new zone, you know how for the longest, 90% of the community's like, why don't you just get Marco because you feel pain so that way you can't die because you just heal. You know what I mean? just think about it, right?
True.
Would Kaido's fruit not be the perfect fruit to complement that as well? Like, I know, like, Marco's fruit, you just go, but the healing factor. But, like, with Kaido's fruit, you get a defense increase, you get multiple speed increases, you get multiple attack increases. And we know that when Kaido's been captured in the past and they've tried to hang him, stab him, guillotine him, that his defenses still work in his human form, even when he doesn't have the scales.
Yeah.
Like, it is literally, if you have this fruit, the only time you can be damaged is if someone crushes you to death or if someone's got Rio or sound projectile sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if people can move through matter, that's when you get damaged. If Blackbeard got this fruit, especially with how you can see Kaido's design now, how terrifying would that be for a final villain in the series?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's a dragon, you know. It's like it's
It's a
literally like an
dragon,
absolute
man.
being. It's yeah, it's a
It's living up
dragon.
to it. I mean, Kaido's
Yeah.
living up to the like, dude, I'm sorry. Just him spinning around and then hitting Luffy on top of the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a heavy hit. You're getting hit by a 10-meter tall mountain of meat, right? Who's hitting you
Mm-hmm.
with like a 2-3 meter long club of just pure iron,
Yeah.
infused with haki to make it stronger, and he's just slapping you on the dome.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't know. Dragons are like always being depicted as like being absolute, like almost god level, like things. I think like probably like the lowest level like dragon thing that I've ever like heard of has been like their scales are like the as strong as like steel. That's like the weakest thing that I've ever heard. And then everything above that is like their scales are like divine and they're unbreakable and stuff like that. So
So, so you know how I'm on the camp now. Like, I'm pretty. I feel pretty confident being on the camp of like the admirals are close to the Yonko. If they're not as strong as the Yonko, that's fine. But they're close. Like I would argue they were closer to the Yonko than they are away from the Yonko. You know what I mean? But seeing
well,
Kaido like,
what's the next lowest thing below them?
well, after
Where they're
admiral would be
going west.
first commander or vice admiral, wouldn't it?
Mm, yeah, I'd say they're a little bit closer to Yonko than they are First Commander.
Either way though, right? Seeing Kaido like this and knowing that he got captured within the last 22 years of the canon story, right?
Yeah.
Dude, all I can imagine now is you got Kaido out at sea, right? And he comes across a convoy of 3 vice admirals, right? Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji. Could you imagine
Yeah.
that? Like, it's just like lights out for Kaido, but I mean, like, could you imagine that brawl just out on the open water? It's
That would be pretty nice, yeah.
like, dude, like if I could see a spin-off manga, I would want to see all the times Kaido got captured. You know what I mean? I want to see a little bit more of Roger's journey fighting other people. I want to see. So you know how the manga said that Roger snuck into Whole Cake Island and got a poneglyph?
Yep.
The anime recently just covered that chapter, and do you know what the anime specifically changed it to?
But
Roger says, I muscled in there and took her poneglyph by force and left.
what?
Yeah, man.
That is drastically different.
Yeah, man. See, this is why official translations are like, oh, if it's printed out and I have a hard copy of it, it's like, oh, I want to lean more on that. But like, dude, anime only watchers will be sitting there just going, Roger, man, he just dropped Big Mom, just walked up there, spear tackled her to the ground, got that poneglyph and got out of dodge. How different's that?
So is the official is the official translation that of the manga that he snuck in?
I would assume so. I should have it right here.
Because doesn't Oda like hardcore look over the anime? Why would he not just be like, that's not what
Not
happened, guys?
not super hardcore. They more ask him about stuff. Um,
Still, that's a pretty big difference.
I'll look it up. I can't be bothered scrolling through all the manga panels. It's Here we go. Okay. That day, if she had simply listened to me... Nope, that's not it. But yeah, like, that drastically changes the plotline of stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, wow, it does. I also love that the attack that that Roger did against Odin that like knocked him like halfway
Yeah.
across the island
The
was literally just called Divine Departure, where
Yeah.
literally that attack, he probably just made that up on the spot. He's just like, go away. That was what that attack was. That was a go away attack.
The get out of my face. Oh,
Yeah.
dude. Sorry. All right.
Departure implies he literally just wants the person to go away. He was just whacking him away.
It was in the manga, right? I'm not just dream, like, this wasn't just a dream, right? They said in the manga that Kaido got his fruit when the Rocks Pirates disbanded. So he didn't have it when Rocks was a thing, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So I'm not just imagining that, right? That was what
No,
was it?
no. That is what happened, and then Big
Yeah.
Mom gave it to him.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Battle of God Valley, dude, like, thank God Kaido didn't have this fruit with what we saw today, man. Could you imagine
Yeah.
Roger and Garp having to, like, sidestep Kaido charging in like that while fighting Big Mom and Whitebeard and Rocks? Oh, that would have been rough.
Mhm.
So I can't for the life of me find this about Big Mom. You remember it though, don't you? When she was talking about
Remember what?
when she was talking about Roger snuck in and took it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the anime's changed it to muscling in and that and stealing, like taking it by force, which is this is why we can't trust anime only content. You know what I mean? It's canon, but like,
Yeah,
is
seriously.
it the same canon? Ooh. No, I can't be bothered looking for it. I'll find it eventually one day. Yeah, man. I don't know what I don't know what the next chapter is going to be. I don't know if we continue the fighting. I want to say we do, but like we very well could just drop off to something else. You know what I mean? Like go back, like there's still so much. Maybe we get a bit more with the scabbards going after Momo and that. Finally see where Sanji ends up and who Sanji's going up against. I mean, I still feel like there is so much stuff going on. Like, how long away do you think it will be until Wano ends? Because this is officially the longest arc in the series. This chapter capped Dressrosa as the longest arc.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I'm not even mad about because of how much great stuff's been coming from this arc. You know what I mean?
It doesn't feel like it's been going for that long, hey?
No. Like, Whole Cake felt long. Dressrosa felt a little long. This arc
to me felt like an eternity.
This arc, my lord, because it's been broken up as well, it's felt like a bunch of littler arcs. Like, dude, do you remember when we first started this arc, the big bad guy we were going up against was the sumo wrestler? You remember that, dude? That feels like an eon ago, man. Remember when we were getting...
That does actually, yeah. That was a long time ago.
Remember when we were getting...
one-shot him.
Remember when we were getting hyped? Like, right now we're getting hyped because it's like, yeah, the Supernova's versus Kaido, Big Mom, baby. Remember how hyped you were when you saw Hawkins and Law start clashing for the first time? And then Hawkins is able to counter Law's ability and it was like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, it might not be the best arc in the series, but I can't understand the slew of people that hate Wano at the moment. Like, I feel like your week-to-week criticisms or over-analyzing of the series has ruined your enjoyment of it for those people, you know what I mean? Because it's like...
Yeah.
everyone can always think of something that they thought would have been a little better. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, I think that's kind of a really bad part of like doing tons and tons of theories is that like if you theorize too hard about one really small thing, you get to a point where you're coming up with these really abstract twists that could happen, and
mm,
when they don't happen, it's like, oh, it would have been better if it did.
mm.
Yeah, you
And
kind of shot yourself in the foot.
for the people that are like, oh, well, Oda makes a story in that. Like, you got to remember, Oda only comes up with the story over the course of like 2 days. He does 2 days of story writing. He does 2 days of mapping it out and drawing it, and then he's got to submit it, and then he's got to like not even a day off sort of thing before he starts the next one.
Yeah.
So it's like you guys have got a week or a month looking at one panel, analyzing and being like, man, we could do this and this and this and this. Meanwhile, in 2 days, he's coming out with a story that's consistently keeping you entertained. You know what
Yeah,
I
and then
mean?
the other thing is that he's also building the entire world, right? So he's
Mm-hmm.
probably got tons upon tons of notes of like what's going to happen in the future and how he's going to build the world out and what that how that structure is going to happen. He's going to have to like cross reference like the chapter that he's currently writing with the like overall way that the story is going. And yeah.
It's
There's a lot of like extra work where like not all of his time is writing each individual chapter. He probably spends a lot of time generally like fleshing out the lore of the world that he's not actually like putting directly into every chapter. Because like that's the thing is like if you want to build a world, you start by giving it a history. Right? Like you have to have an entire history for the world that you're going to build because the history is what determines the present. You can't just say this is this and this is this. You need to say like why these things exist, even if you're never going to actually explain it in the actual story, because otherwise you give yourself tons of plot holes.
I have a very odd question.
Yeah.
So we've seen Kaido and Big Mom's swordsmanship here, right?
Yep.
We know Shanks' swordsmanship is comparable to Mihawk's, right?
Hmm.
We saw Whitebeard going toe to toe with Roger in swordsmanship, and saw arguably the other most important swordsman scene with advanced Rio on their weapons, right?
Yeah.
Blackbeard and Luffy are the only potential Yonko that don't carry a sword or a weapon.
That's true.
Outside of Blackbeard, who has pistols on him. Could you imagine
Hmm.
if he pulls out one of those pistols and he's been using those pistols to help try and direct the Gurugura no Mi?
What do you mean by direct it? As in
So
like he shoots the quakes out?
yeah,
That'd be
like
pretty cool.
remember when Whitebeard threw he swung his nugget nada and sent off an orb of earthquake shockwave that moved the epicenter through Marineford?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine if Blackbeard's able to whip out his pistols and just shoot off a couple of those, and just make like a
That'd be
quake
cool.
center. So it's like you're surrounded by a series of different earthquakes.
I just feel like awakened Luffy is such a hardcore counter to the Quake Fruit. Like
Oh,
I just imagine awakened Luffy can like store force and then eject it
why
because he's like infinitely rubbery. So you punch him if you unless you use Haki. If you punch him without Haki or he takes any kind of blow without Haki, the force from it just kind of like bounces around inside him until when he punches you, he can let it out at you to increase his own strength. That'd be bonkers. Like
does the quake fruit even hurt Luffy? Is he just immune to the vibrations? Like,
unless you use Haki with it, yeah, it wouldn't hurt him.
to the same extent that Aokiji can't hurt Blackbeard. Oh my god, Aokiji can't hurt Blackbeard.
Well, he can't freeze Blackbeard. He
Yeah,
can
he can't
stab him
freeze
with
him.
like ice spears and stuff.
True, true. But yeah, sorry, that just sort of I jumped the gun a bit there, but that just clicked with me because I was talking about Aokiji freezing Whitebeard, and it just was like, wait, that is the worst person to ally yourself with if you're a spy, someone that directly negates your ability.
Actually, how about this? Imagine Aokiji could put his armament Haki into the ice that he creates. He could freeze Whitebeard and then Haki up the ice that's around him, and then Whitebeard could only escape it if he was stronger than Aokiji's Haki. In
Maybe.
which case, it's just who's generally stronger with Haki. Because
Mild
it's not just a
man.
matter of breaking the ice; it's a matter of destroying the Haki.
I am. I am gobstrapped still. I'm sorry. I just keep looking up now and then and seeing hybrid Kaido, and I'm just like, he looks so beastly. It is
Mm.
everything I wanted in the character. You know what I mean?
Something that's pretty interesting is like, um, Luffy seems kind of like a hard counter to Luffy. Hey,
Who?
like the string, Dofi.
Yeah.
Like the strings, like everything that he does is like cutting and like him having awakening. Like, so I imagine like Luffy gets to a point where, like, yeah, if you hit him without haki, he will like absorb the blow and then he can like use that force himself. But like, if let's say Dofi punches him with a haki fist, he's not giving him any force because it's haki.
Haki, yeah.
And then Luffy gets blown back against a wall. Now, if he hits that wall, he'll get force. But then what if Dofi then awakens that
And
wall into
turns
his
into
own
string.
string and then hakis it up? Now he's
Man.
not going to get any force. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It
Oh.
just seems like Dofi's abilities are very like anti-Luffy.
Oh, Daniel. You know how Dofi was like in tears, sweating, and terrified of Kaido trying to kill him?
Yeah.
Could you imagine Dofi trying to stall hybrid Kaido, putting up spider webs while he's pulling himself back, running away, and Kaido's just smacking through it like a feather duster picking up spider webs? You know what I mean? He's just
Yeah.
running through it, spits out a borrow breath in that, and Dofi like barely dodges it. He's just like sweating. He's just like in fear, terrifying. Kaido's Kaido's putting the work in so many characters. Like I need to know who gave him his L's. Like did they after Roger died? Did they send Garp to go uh, take out Kaido? One of the times he got captured, you know what I mean? They also said he got beaten by the
Yeah.
other Yonko a few times. So it's like he's got L's to some of the other Yonko, man. I need to see how these things were facilitated because right now he's putting in more work than Big Mom. I'm sorry, and like that's not to say Big Mom's a meme or like a joke or a bad character. Like she has been consistently threatening, and I feel like if anything, people that criticize her goofiness and the jokes surrounding her don't necessarily understand the character's design. You know what I mean? Or at least they don't
Yeah.
enjoy the character's design in that capacity. Because like
Mm-hmm.
she's she's like she's like a bounty ball, like you know those like handballs?
Yeah.
If you were in a room and threw a handball at the wall, right? But if that handball touched you, you died. That's what Big Mum is. She's just bouncing off everything, but never quite really gets anywhere. But if she got to you, you'd be screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you, mate.
Whereas Kaido's a dude in that room with you that has a bat, and you don't have a bat. It's like you can run away from the dude with the bat, but it's a room that's closed off. The dude with the bat's finally going to catch up to you and smack you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, do you... Okay, here's a question.
By the way,
Oh, go. You go,
can
you
you
go.
imagine if Whitebeard's entire like crew that survived after the war, can you imagine if they just went, you know what, we're just going to support Shanks now, because Shanks doesn't really want to be the Pirate King either, and he's a pretty good guy. We're going to go to Shanks and we're going to say we will all, like all of us, all of the commanders, will join your crew if you take out Blackbeard, and we'll help obviously. Then that way, instead of fighting the Grudge War with all the commanders against Blackbeard and his crew, you have Shanks and his entire crew and all of Whitebeard's crew fighting Blackbeard. They would just annihilate him, and then they would be fine. And then they would just serve Shanks, and they would just chill out on the island that Shanks is at and drink for the rest of their lives. That'd be a pretty good, they don't have to kill any
Oh,
innocent people because Shanks isn't about that. They don't have to like support Shanks being the Pirate King, like because he doesn't want to be it. As if they wouldn't do that.
all right. Daniel, I know we talk about it a fair bit, but
Mm.
with how hyped the series has been right now, right?
Mhm.
You know how each intermission has been more hyped than what's happening at Wano?
Yeah.
Is there a single thing you can think of right now that would be more hype than all this Kaido, like how beastly Kaido's going right now?
It would have to be like genuine, like major character deaths.
Deaths? It has to be a death, you reckon?
Um,
Because
i- so like if they flashed away and they showed like whatever SSG is, that would be like worth it for a chapter or two,
but it wouldn't
but I'm not
be
sure
it.
if it would be like
No.
it wouldn't be like
Well,
significantly better.
hey, it would only be significantly better if we saw Mihawk dead at the foot of one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
like,
Yeah,
like
if you
you
saw like Mihawk or Boa dead, if you saw like Sabo dead or Dragon captured, with like and like captured in a way that you're like he's not getting out, unless like Luffy saves him or
do,
something.
because Oda, for all of the negatives that he has with his writing, Oda is a master of building suspense. You know what I mean? And just when a big thing he does is when you get near the climax of an arc and you're like, I really want to see how this guy
Yeah.
gets taken out, he makes you want something else elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Every intermission so far has probably been more entertaining than Wano, and that's not to say Wano's been bad. That's just to say the intermissions have been ridiculously hyped. Could you imagine if we cut away from Luffy versus Kaido, right? And we literally just open up the intermission on Shanks versus Blackbeard, and we get to see it a bit more drawn out, like a bit of a prolonged, like 2-3 chapter conflict with the crews involved.
Yeah.
Would you reckon that would get you more hyped, or would that not?
That'd probably get me more hyped, yeah.
Like, could you imagine if we, because this is the versus the Four Emperors saga, you know what I mean, versus the Yonko saga. So it's
Yeah.
like I feel like this saga can't end without seeing what all the Yonko are sort of capable of.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, I am awestruck. I don't know. I don't. I can't even formulate questions about the chapter or stuff like that because I'm just like so hyped. I'm grinning nonstop with how good this chapter was, how sick Kaido is, how sick the design
If
is,
you
and that. And I just don't know
if you
what's
told
happening.
me this, yeah, if you explain this chapter to me, like if you explain exactly this chapter and said this is what I like last week, and you said this is what I think the next chapter is going to be, I'd be like, nah, no way, it's
Yeah,
not going to happen.
you don't get to get that type of enjoyment, man.
Like, yeah, like, I think they're going to get rid of all of Big Mom's homies and then knock her off the edge so that she's out of the fight. I'd be like, I don't know, that's a bit of a stretch, dude.
It's what Oda does best, man. Oh, sorry. I'm just looking at Kaido again, dude. The fangs, the mustache. He's just.
Mm.
He looks like the strongest character out of Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks like he belongs in Mortal Kombat as like the like secret boss. You know what I mean?
That scene, that one panel before he attacks, before he breath attacks Luffy when he's like slithering at him
Yep,
with his club behind his back. That is such a cool like.
dude. The one above
Oh,
that where he's just smacked Luffy, and you just see the muscle, like his arm looks.
yeah.
Yep. Oh, hey,
By the way,
hang on a second. Data cut out. I'm just. Yep. Okay, the data's back in. No, it's all good. As you were saying.
that panel that you were talking about with his arm swinging, you see like kind of a concussion blast where Luffy got hit and then where he ended up,
Yep.
and you see them both at the same time, which implies how fast he's traveling. That like the concussion blast of him getting hit is still in the air the
While
same
he's
time that he
hit the
landed
ground.
on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like an almost an instant movement where he's just gotten instantly smashed into the floor, like a few, like probably even like a dozen or so meters away.
Okay. So, I'm I'm gonna try and predict some more Kaido attacks. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon he's gonna do one like his blast breath here, where he does the giant blast, except it sends out the 5 sickles again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I reckon he could do that, and then cut to this while he looks at one side of Onigashima and spins his head around. So you got 5 things shooting out at you, and then a beam coming across. So you got to dodge left and right, and then up and down, like a
Yeah.
proper boss fight sort of thing. I could.
Yeah.
Do you know what actually would be terrifying though?
Mm-hmm.
You know how Yamato has done a projectile club attack? If they get some distance from Kaido and they're like, it's alright, he won't be able to get it, he won't be able to hurt us as easily from back hit, and then Kaido just goes, you fools. flick of the wrist, sending out projectile club attacks as well. And they've also got to dodge pinpoint club attacks.
Yeah, right. That'd be pretty mad.
Do
Okay,
you...
how about this? That scene, before Kaido shoots the breath at him,
Mm,
right? See how his tail is under him, like kind of curled around,
yep.
right? He shoots the beam. Luffy jumps over it above Kaido's head. Kaido uses his tail and springs himself off the ground and charges Luffy with his horns.
Okay. I'm calling these things to happen. Okay?
Hmm.
Number one,
Horn gets broken.
horn gets broken in a very specific way. Number one, Kaido impales Luffy with his tail.
Mm-hmm.
Very symbolic of the crocodile scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, Luffy dodges Kaido, grabs both of his horns, and either does a headbutt or does a leg spear with Haki and Rio and cracks Kaido on the head, and one of the horns breaks off when he's grabbing that.
Okay.
Okay? Sort of reminiscent of the thing he did against Musi, I think.
Okay, I've got a couple of other ways that can happen.
Yeah?
Right? Grabs him, slams him to the ground, breaks the horn, like grabs him by the horns, like grabbing the horns of a bull, and controls him, and then slams him into the ground. Another one is mirror of Akainu versus Whitebeard, goes to punch him. Kaido moves his head to the side. Luffy clips one of his horns and rips it off with his fist. Breaks his the same way that Akainu melts half of Whitebeard's face off.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Especially since there's Luffy being mirrored with Akainu. Because,
Yeah.
I like that. I definitely like that. Ooh. What would be a good
Or
thing?
a mirror of against Chin Jiao. He actually punches it like from the tip and crushes it in.
Do you know what would be cool?
Mm.
Kaido, two hands above his head with the club, coming down with the club attack. Killer.
Yeah.
What was it? Hypersonic scythes, right? Does an audio based attack, and it cuts it goes through his wrists. He lets go with his club. Kid attracts the club around, spins around, and repels it back at Kaido, thinking he's gonna hit Kaido off guard. Kaido grabs the club with one hand and cracks the club.
Oh, that'd be good. Like his own, like breaks his own club in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. I mean, how about just like Killer does the attack on his wrist, and then Kid just uses his magnetism to pull the club down on top of Kaido's head, and smashes him into the ground. Because his arms are over his head, right? So once he lets go of the club's just right above his head.
Mm.
And then all he'd have to do is just pull the club down into Kaido, and it would like squash him on the ground.
Okay, I need Law, Zoro, and Killer knocked out for a moment, and I need Luffy and Kid side by side, with Kaido standing up in front of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I need a Conqueror's Haki Blast. I need Conquerors. Kaido's gotta have Conquerors, dude. He makes everyone submit by force. That is the most Conquerors thing there is it not?
That is true, he is, yeah.
There's still so much stuff to happen. Like, I still think we've got to crash over the Flower Capital and that, and scare the citizens a bit before this fight really starts to pick up. We've still got so many matchups and that, and it's like all the stuff I thought I wanted to see, I'm starting to see now. Outside of maybe Kid being a little more ruthless, right? But pretty much everything I feel like I need to see, I've already started. Like, you've heard how vocal I've been, and all the things I'm talking about are slowly starting to come, and I'm like, I'm getting all the hype stuff now. Oda knows that. What's Oda think is going to be more hype than this, that he's just going to throw in our lap without us expecting?
Yeah.
Like, this this was the thing that they were using to hype up the Olympics in Japan, dude. You know what I mean? It's like there's some stakes being held into this part of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
the 1,001st volume, or would it be volume 1,000? I think it would be volume 1,000. This would all be part of volume 1,000. Could you imagine that? Volume 100. First triple digit volume. And this is what you get. Like, I can't process it, eh? I feel like I keep stuttering and repeating over myself. I'm just way too hyped. I'm way too hyped. I'm not even thinking about the Scabbers and that. I'm not even, like, talking about Hiyori and that. I'm literally just looking at Kaido, and I'm like, dude, I've seen Kong vs. Godzilla. Or was it Godzilla versus Kong, right? And I get to see it again here with Luffy and Kaido. And I am all for it. Alright. That being said,
Yeah.
we've been streaming now for an hour 45. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I'm just keen for the next one.
Definitely. And there's
No
no break.
break.
Yeah, man. No break. Oh, have you got the chapter up?
Oh, yeah, I love the color panels.
Yeah,
as well.
I was about to say, scroll down, man.
Yeah.
How good is the purple aura? Although
Yeah.
I honestly thought it might have been more interesting if it was just laced with fire from Napoleon.
Yeah.
But this is peak One Piece. Potentially peak One Piece, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of hype. In Wano, we got Supernova versus Supernova. We got a cool samurai story, right? We got the stereotypical, love interests and, citizens that we want to care for and all that sort of stuff. But past that, we've gotten Roger's bounty, Whitebeard's bounty, the Yonko bounties, right? We have been getting balls to walls fights that are good fights. I mean, dude, what if... I can't even. I'm like I said, I'm still so hyped. Like, what happens if Sanji runs into King and Marco, right? And Sanji starts fighting King. Jinbei tags out with Brook. Brook starts fighting Who's Who, and Frankie starts fighting Queen. And then Marco's left to deal with Big Mum as she tries to re-enter Onigashima. Out in the air.
Yeah.
How cool would that have been? So we got a 5v1, and then you got Marco and Big Mum in the air, so it's Marco's advantage, right? You get the hype of two Straw Hats taking out two stronger commanders. You know what I mean? All it takes is like a little bit of reshuffling in that.
Marco's still fighting Candyman, though, is the thing, because we haven't seen anything since then, right?
No, he's fighting King and Queen, and Candyman showed up. But yeah, we haven't seen anything. So, do you know what? Next chapter, we've got to cut back to downstairs, and Marco's going to get dogged in the back by Perospero. Yeah. I feel like that has to happen soon.
Yeah. I think next chapter is going to be a little bit further away from the rooftop.
I reckon maybe we cut back to the rooftop for the last 2 pages, and the last 2 pages is Luffy and Zoro being like, "We're out, you take over."
Yeah.
And then the chapter after that would be... Oh, actually, next chapter is chapter 1010. 1010.
That is true.
It might actually be a bit more of a hype chapter than I thought. I'm not going to lie. Ooh. Man, Wano has just been fire.
No, I just feel like pacing-wise, you can't have this hype of a chapter and then followed up with another one.
I don't know.
Because then the one after it, where it starts to come down, is going to feel really dull.
Yeah, but you got to think it's the end of a volume for the book releases.
True.
So you got to hype it up, and then dissipate it a little bit, and then hype it up again. All right. For anyone that's come by, thank you for watching. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. Daniel, you got anything else you want to say?
No, not at all.
All right.
It was lovely.
Peace until the next chapter. Again, I sound like I'm just stuttering over myself, but I'm like so giddy. You know what I mean? I'm just like in a hype zone. I I feel like Oda's just been like, you know what? You need to pick me up this week. And this week, and this week, and this week, and this week. Do you know what? Pick me ups all 2021, sorry. 2020 made people sad. 2021, let's get people a little glad. You know what I mean? And like, I haven't even touched, we didn't even touch on some of the art, because some of these panels were stunning. For like, especially for Oda art, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oda goes through being hyper detailed to hyper minimalistic for panels.
Yeah.
Some people criticize saying like the art's trash, but it's like, in all honesty, if you've read Skypiea, I would fight you if you said the art was trash. But
Dude, I think the art here is really good. Like,
yeah,
man, I was reading Berserk, and this art doesn't seem that much worse. And everyone always goes on about how great the art is in Berserk. I, I just think that like Oda doesn't do like super like long, far away fights of like tons and tons of like
people and
soldiers.
hyper
Yeah.
detailed people at
Whereas like
distance.
Berserk, every now and then will have like an entire page spread of like an army. He'll
Mm.
like draw each individual person. Um, but to be honest, that's kind of just more than you need to do.
Oh yeah,
I think Oda's does pretty bloody good job.
especially for week to week, like he pumps it out,
Yeah,
man. All right, thank you for
like it's
coming.
well detailed, man. Like he's got like every single time he draws Kaido, he draws multiple scales all over his body. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oda's really good at motion. I find. Some people find it
Yeah.
very stagnant. I don't know. I find like
No, I can like see this fight happening, especially his exchanges with Luffy, Kaido's
yeah.
exchanges with Luffy.
It
I can see that like the speed of the hits and everything.
it's like the Luffy vs Katakuri fight. You get to some pages and it's just like everything flowed.
Yeah.
Definitely looks good. I still can't believe Kid took a punch from Big Mom in the face. She's like got her fist in his face, and he like he does the Luffy like moves back, and he's just like cheekily just like repel. Just get out of here. Who are
Yeah.
you, lady? Man,
That's the thing is like when I imagine it in the anime, all this stuff seems a lot more lame. Cause like I can just imagine like Big Mom just like like sitting with it with her hand on Kid's face for like a good like 30
oh
seconds,
it,
and he like slowly puts it on her arm, and then she just looks at him for like 5 seconds straight, and as he's smiling, and then he just goes ha ha ha, repel, and then there's like 5 seconds of her flying up into the sky.
yeah,
It's like
dude.
in my head that'll happen real quick.
Sometimes the manga really makes pacing better.
Yeah.
Like it's really better. Like I'm not a person that dislikes filler in anime. If it means moments like this where it's supposed to be super quick, get to be super quick. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a lot more impactful when it's just like
Mhm.
sometimes if a 5-page thing is like 2 seconds, but
Mhm.
it's just like super quick and you're just like, what? It
It's like
hits different.
that that one fight in the Boruto anime where Sasuke and Naruto are like fighting the guy, the alien guy,
Yep.
and they're like it's like extremely quick, and like all the other Kage there, and there's like a scene where like within I think like 4 or 5 seconds all of the Kage get beaten
Yep.
except for like Naruto and Sasuke obviously, but it's like he just like dashes to all of them and just instantly beats all the Kage. It's like that wouldn't come out that well if it was slowly animated. It just wouldn't be as good.
We need to get you caught up on Boruto so we can start doing some Boruto streams. Because that's a series
Yeah.
that I don't think gets any love, and honestly, it is getting at like some great spots in the story.
Look, I get that it could be good, but like every time when I think about Naruto, Naruto literally was best at the start of the first series. Like
Yeah,
the tuning exams and stuff was the
and
best
it
arc
and
of
it
the entire
trailed off
show.
past that.
And it literally just got consistently worse the longer the show went. And
Look,
then Boruto started and it was worse than like probably any point in Naruto. So I just can't see it getting better. Like it's I've
I
seen I've seen like a 10-year long trend of it getting worse. It's hard for me to think that it's just going to magically
I
get better.
I like the pain arc. That's my favorite Naruto arc. But I can see what you mean because the tuning exams were like phenomenal,
Mm.
and they
I
just
thought the pain arc was a bit eh.
I was too invested at that point in time. I was just like, I was a Hinata stand, all right. And the first time watching it, I thought like Kakashi died. She got dropped, and I thought she died. I remember I literally lost breath. I was watching it in my bedroom. I was laying on my bed, and I was like, God, I was just like, no, no. And then Naruto went full schizo, and I was just like, I was like near in tears. But you know what the worst part is with that? Most of that fight's
Mm.
filler, anime only filler.
Yeah.
But hey, that you got to take it when you can get it and enjoy it when you can. All right, thanks for coming out. Anyone that's come out, tell us what your thoughts are or predictions are in the comments section down below. You can help this channel by doing all the usual stuff, subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell icon for more notifications for when we do streams or when I post videos. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and again, if you ever want to talk anything anime and manga related, the link to the Discord is in the description down below. The Discord is ever growing, so people that get first in, you probably have a better chance of talking to some of us more directly. Anyway, peace and have a good one.